What up, though, people? And we are back. You know, we got to talk about these Detroit Pistons right now. They are winning 36.4% of their games. That is 4-7. They should be at least over 500. They should be over 500. But they're on a 30-win pace right now. I think that might tick up. So they're just at right now about where my preseason prediction was. But I think it might start to nudge a little bit closer to what a lot of the Woo crew was predicting, as well as the chat family. A lot of them were very, very bullish on what the Detroit Pistons could be this year. And we see why. JB Bickerstaff has already gotten his claws into this thing with the Detroit Pistons. You see them in better precision defensively. Shout out to Cade Cunningham as well, Cade's brother. We got to talk a little bit about some of the things that we see and some of the differences and such. And just to try to share a summary, because I don't want to just share everything we talk about. The fact that JB Bickerstaff is coming here and kind of brought this process and brought this education and being able to teach these guys on the fly as well, because they're still playing big minutes. Jaden Ivey is still playing in big positions, but you know what we don't hear right now?
What?
We don't hear, oh man, Jaden Ivey's out of position defensively, like we were hearing last year.
That's a fact.
Or Jaden Ivey has his head turned looking at the ball and his guy's cutting back door. Or Jaden Ivey can't man up and things, or what Isaiah Stewart can't do, or what can't. There are things that they're always going to have to do to get better, but we've seen them now take a necessary step forward in their development, and being able to give them a platform to be themselves and be put in the best position to take advantage of that. That's what I like, man. So JB Bickerstaff, his imprint on this team as a coach, it can be very, very well seen. And then when you're just talking about Cade Cunningham, before I get you in on this, KG, we got to talk about Cade Cunningham real quick. What this guy is doing right now is starting to be beyond what any of us, even the Slappies, thought. Cade Cunningham, players with 250 points, 75 assists, and 75 rebounds this season. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and one Cade Cunningham.
Yes,
you talk about doing everything against the Atlanta Hawks, because I know that we were all heartbroken by the Houston Rockets game. They should have won. They should have at least had an opportunity to play for overtime. But Tobias Harris, he did miss the 2 free throws with 1 second left. I don't think that's just going to happen much, but this team's success is going to ride a lot on, not if Cade Cunningham is doing everything, because he will, but it's going to ride on what the vets are doing to support him in that cause, just like we were saying all offseason. We said, please get him some help. So those last 12 seconds, he got the game-winning basket, and he got the game-winning block. And that's on top of that, man. Cade Cunningham, per Pistons PR, has recorded a triple-double in 3 consecutive games, tied with Grant Hill, April 11th through the 14th, 1997, as the longest such streak in franchise history, and almost got another one in that Houston game. This Pistons team, man.
He's becoming that guy. And every NBA team needs a guy that you can, lean on, that you can point towards and say, that's our guy, that's our horse. Late in games, he's the one that's going to get the ball. And that's Cade Cunningham, man. He's doing everything for this team. Literally everything. Rebounding, assisting, playing defense. Like you said, he had the game-winning block in that game, and then in the Houston Rockets game, he almost had the game-saving block. His foot was out of bounds, man, but that block was huge, man.
I really thought they should have reviewed that. I thought his heel was up.
I thought his heel was up too. But that's one of them 50-50 calls. It is what it is. Tobias got to hit the free throws, man.
You're right.
And just flat out point blank period. You're a veteran in this league. You're a solid shooter. Hit the shots at the line, man. Tobias, and we're going to get into Tobias, man. But right now, we got to get a love to Cade, because he is doing everything for this team, and this is what you wanted to see out of him, going forward, man. This is now year 3 or 4 for Cade. You want to start him. You want to see him start to ascend into being that all-star, that that superstar player that we know he's capable of. His shooting has improved dramatically. His defense has been a lot better, and we already knew his playmaking ability and ability to slow the game down was gonna, pay dividends for this team. But the fact that you are getting some help from Jaden Ivey, and shout out Jaden Ivey.
Yeah, he's stepped up.
His individual defense, the way he's shooting the ball this year, this is a whole different Jaden Ivey, one that we hoped we would see. I didn't know if we would see it this quickly, but the fact that Jaden Ivey has kind of become that number 2 to Cade, and when Cade sits down and Jaden Ivey's running the offense, you can rely on him not only to distribute the ball, but scoring as well, getting important buckets, and playing good defense, man. So Cade needs to continue what he's doing right now. I know JB Bickerstaff's getting better at like staggering the minutes and making sure that he's fresh for the fourth quarters going forward. But like you said, it's not on Cade, it's not on Jaden Ivey because they're
doing
showing
their
up.
job.
It's on the vets.
Yeah.
What are the vets going to provide for you? Shout out to Tim Hardaway Jr. He's been the best acquisition so far.
Yeah.
And, you know, at first I questioned why he was starting in this lineup, but his shooting ability and his ability to kind of just rack up points in bunches and provide energy for this team has been great. But Tobias Harris, where are you, bro? We need you on this team. And I understand you might not always hit the three-pointers and you're doing other stuff on the floor, but you were brought here to space the floor and be that veteran, you know, leading presence in that locker room. So I would just, you know, ask that
Tobias
Harris
in the fourth quarters.
Exactly. I would just ask that Tobias Harris play a little bit better and this team will be fine.
Yeah, definitely. And they will. I want to be fair to that, is that there's an aspect of chemistry, where to be on the court, you know, how Cade Cunningham plays versus how Tobias Harris plays, in all of the sorts. And ultimately, I want to be fair here. Some of this is going to be fixed with personnel. They need more right now. And that backup point guard spot is something that's really, really blaring. But another thing is they need an absolute gunner. This is why during the offseason, that was one of the things that Rob Beard and I, you know, before we even brought aspects of the podcast to the Wake Up Woodward show. Yeah, these are things that we were saying for well over 2 years, that yes, Jaden Ivey can be that guy, and we assumed that Tobias Harris could be that three. Because remember, we were talking about how a lot of the other younger teams, their ascension into the playoffs and into being one of those NBA League Pass darlings has been because their young players have taken that next step along with the vets who bolster it. As we see our young players taking that next step is when I realize we need, if one of those young players can't be that third gunner, they have to go out and get that guy. But as it relates to this season, like you said, as long as Tobias Harris steps up to the plate, they're going to be fine. My favorite improvement about this team over last year, and it's actually going to be better than these numbers because we're not factoring in the fact that the Houston Rockets have only scored 101 points against the Pistons. Yeah. You go and you look at what they were scoring against other teams before, and you look at what some of these other teams were doing before. When we talk about identity, last year there were certain streaks. This year it's been the entire season for the most part. Their defensive rating last year was 118 points. This is why the vets are so important. These young guys are hustling. They put you in a position to win a game that you shouldn't have won. Got to knock down your free throws.
No, that's a fact. and mid-made in the chat, I can argue that Tobias, you know, not the Lions, the Pistons, 3 games so far. Yes. And as being your highest paid veteran, it's just the meat of it, man. And I know it's early. It's only been, you know, not that. Maybe, you know, what the big men have done as well. But
just one more thing because I just want to be fair to JB Bickerstaff in the press conference about Tobias Harris and the missed free throws and such. He was so just like, whatever, we know Tobias Harris, blah blah. As I'm getting to know JB Bickerstaff, I'm starting to realize maybe of what, you know, we give Brad Holmes, but Brad Holmes earned that. He has a good path here now, a good start. 11 of them. Yeah. This is an eighth of your season is already a better start, and you're seeing the trends. That means that they should. Some of the advanced metrics state. JB Bickerstaff has a good part to do with that.
No, that's a fact.
I just wanted to be able to throw that in there. He is confident that Tobias will bounce back. But talk about Beef Stew because that is my next feature article.
Oh, yeah, man. Beef Stew has been playing above his size. We all know the limitations on Isaiah Stewart, but the fact that he's playing the defense that he's played so far this season, it benefits the Pistons because they, for so long, were sorely missing that defensive presence off the bench. And for what he's given this team, man, it's been incredible, man. It's been incredible. He's somebody that, you know, can still stretch the floor. Are you going to rely on him to constantly make three-point shots? No, but he gives the threat of that. You know, so on the offensive end, you don't really expect him to contribute that many points, but what he's giving you on defense is like overshadowing everything right now, man. He's playing bigger than what he is. Is it sustainable? Not so sure about that because, you know, on the other end, Jalen Duren, he's been good in spots. But I need to see Jalen Duren continue to be a presence down in the low post, man, because when he's not, and then, you know, Isaiah Stewart has to take on the bulk of that responsibility, eventually that's going to wear him down, man. And you've seen late in fourth quarters, he's had Isaiah Stewart out there, you know, in a lot of sets as opposed to a Jalen Duren. So I just want to, you know, get your take on what you're seeing from the big man so far this year.
Well, that's why, again, from an instinct standpoint, like I've run camps, I've gotten the opportunity to coach, I've played basketball, I've been coached by some great coaches. Shout out to my coaches, man. And just looking at it from that standpoint, there's more development that we're going to have to get from Jalen Duren, but you also have to call it what it is, too. There's certain instinct that has to be there.
That's
There's
true.
a certain instinct that has to be there, and I just don't know if that's there. You can coach him up, and you can make him a reputable defensive player, but early on, if the instinct's not there, then you're going to have a little bit of trouble getting that type of impact.
Yeah.
Beef Stew has that instinct, and that's why it doesn't matter about if he's tall enough or anything. He understands where to be on the court, even for rebounds. Seeing him battle guys for rebounds, whether he gets to 10 or not, just watching every single possession, because I'm working on this article for him, I realized every single possession, Beef Stew is trying. Beef Stew is boxing out. Beef Stew is clutching. Beef Stew is pushing. Beef Stew is this.
He doing
Beef
whatever
Stew is,
he got to do.
And that's what I'm saying. The maturation in his game this year is this. I think people forgot that he can actually be reliable in the paint. Even though he doesn't have a dearth of, you know, post moves, what I've liked about his game this year is how he's worked with Cade Cunningham, especially over the last, since they got on that 3 out of 4 win stretch. It was the pick and roll and the fact that every time Cade passed that ball to Beef Stew in the paint, I saw him do the little awkward layup,
a little hook shot,
the little layup underneath, but he got it up there, and it was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And Cade looked comfortable. And that's where I'm saying instinctually, as Duren gets, you know, older, he's already doing bananas things. So I want to put that in perspective. We're just talking about him getting to the next level of bananas, and that's where defensively, if he can get there, you're going to see some good things. And I see what Pistons need another big, period. Oh, yeah, that's what we said.
That's a fact.
Well, during our offseason coverage, it was that they needed another big, and that they need another guard. That's where they are right now. They're set with the wing.
Shout out to Paul Reed, you know, in the limited minutes that he's played. Defensively, he's been kind of okay, but like you said, they just need another presence down there because you can't, like I said, it's just not sustainable for Beef Stew to be out there late in games like that.
The sustainability doesn't come from, do I believe he can consistently put this out there? This is the issue, is that Beef Stew, with the level of aggression that he plays and the types of players he's going to play, and the fact that they're always going to be taller and always going to be more girth, he's getting into foul trouble.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the problem.
That's the problem. And that's where Jalen Duren, he gets into foul trouble from a lack of, not a lack of size, but a lack of instinct and skill.
Yeah.
Which he will learn that in time. In college, he had Rasheed Wallace for a little bit, and I wish he could have had him for a lot longer.
Real quick, you guys are cooking right now. People were saying in the chat they're having some issues with the stream, kind of audio cutting out. Try just refreshing the tab. I just tried it on my phone.
Yeah.
It seemed to have alleviated the audio issues. So if you guys are still dealing with that in the chat, watching the stream, just give your tab a refresh. Try to close it and then reopen it. It should fix it for you guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. Thank you for that as well, man. Thank you for keeping an eye on that. And we still appreciate you guys as well for tapping in.
Yes, sir.
The Pistons, they put themselves in a position where they deserve some attention. And I like the way that we're speaking, because this isn't just about what this team needs to do to climb out the gutter. We're talking about what this team needs to do to bolster themselves from this position right now. Given everything we're talking about right now and all the improvements, to be fair, like TA has things to clean up.
Yep.
I want to be fair to Jalen Duren as well. He has things to clean up.
Absolutely.
But the team's defense is still pretty good. I know he missed the last couple.
Yeah.
Team's overall defensive rating is good. And these guys are strapping up. They are playing connected as
competing,
5 on defense as well.
Yeah.
They're playing better help side through 11 games, through an 8th of the season. I really like what we're seeing out of these Pistons so far.
I would just encourage the Pistons to play with more pace, play a more up and down game.
There's a reason for that, though.
It is? Okay.
The defensive rating, when you see that down, what do we remember about those 04 Pistons? It didn't matter how many points you could score, what your pace was. Those Detroit Pistons were going to slow the pace on you, which meant now it's about if you can get through our grimacing half-court defense.
Right. That's a fact.
And that's what they're doing. So when they slow the pace, overall, they're saying that they're going to take their time. They're saying that they're going to have more energy to conserve for the offensive possession as well as for the defensive possession. And then you see them doing more things to try and slow the pace the other way.
That's true.
By picking up full court.
But the only thing I would say to that is if you look at what most of the Pistons wins have been this year, it's been when they've gotten up and down the floor. You know, they have a mostly young core, so you would like them to be better in the fast break and getting the ball up the floor and setting up the offense faster. Because when they've done that, they've won. Essentially playing a more up-tempo game. Now, I don't want that to take away from the defense, not at all, because the defense is definitely more important to their success so far this year. But if they can play a little bit more of an up-tempo game at times, I feel like that can benefit them as well going forward, going against some of these better, more veteran squads in the Eastern Conference.
I agree with that, definitely. Fast break-wise, I believe they're good, but they get themselves into some trouble. I believe that as the personnel improves, and as they get some more like playmakers and ball handlers on here, I think that you see that go through the roof as well. Because right now we see sometimes Beasley will get the ball, they'll push, and then it's a turnover.
Right. Or they shoot too early in the clock.
And that's what I'm saying. If you shoot too early in the clock, now you're back to playing defense. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes slowing the pace on offense gives yourself a chance on defensively. Because if you go down there and you shoot it, because against the Rockets, you guys look at the last 5 minutes again in the game. I thought they should have played the pace, but who wasn't out there on the court? Cade Cunningham.
True.
And it was or just before he got put back in, I think at like the 4-minute mark or so. Just before that, though, there was some issue with the pace. They had built up a little bit of a lead, and then all of a sudden they had some turnovers trying to still push the issue. And that's where I think it's personnel. I believe. Yes, you want to push the pace if you can push it.
But they're getting turnovers in the half court as well. A lot of their turnovers have been just blunders when setting up the half court offense.
That's why they need more facilitators.
That's true.
Lead facilitator, he knows he has to clean it up, and Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, I know we up against a break. One last quick question. You can just give a quick answer. Expectations for Asar Thompson coming back?
Shout out to him being cleared, but it's going to take some time to ramp him up to game speed. The cool thing is, as we've been chronicling, when I get down to practices, I will miss shoot around today because we got meetings and such, but going to get down to the game early. He's been practicing. And Bobby Clintman as well has been, as of late, shooting around too. So you're talking about getting Asar Thompson back soon. I'm hoping it could be within a couple weeks. That will help a lot when you're talking defense, because he can play all over the court, including getting into the paint as a potential small ball 4 or 5 type of guy.
We'll love to see it, man.
Another one of those two guys. He takes no plays off.
I'm just thinking about him and Ron Holland.
Shout out to the Rook, man. He continues to prove that he belongs.
Playing. Develop a that guys. You gonna get that charge call every time.
Get that floater. That's what I
right. Hit a Euro.
Mid-range, little Pistons, man. I love it. I know KG, you love the Pistons. To be able to talk Pistons with you up there,
big facts. Big facts.
All right. What's trending? Should we just read or just pay some bills and go straight?
Go straight into what's trending.
Let's do that.
Good to me.
Let me hit you off with crispy chicken and